In this video we're going to be looking at the question, how could the Battle of Manzikert have led to the Crusades? Our learning intention is to explore the origins of the Crusades, success criteria to identify key facts about the Battle of Manzikert, to describe the importance of the battle, and to explain how the battle may have led to the Crusades. So, for today we are going to be looking at an area controlled by the Byzantine Empire. So we haven't mentioned these before. The Byzantine Empire was what was left of the Roman Empire once it had collapsed. So the Roman Empire used to control all of this area, and then gradually they lost control of many parts of their empire, but part of it stayed under the control of a small part of the Roman Empire, which later became the Byzantine Empire. This was located in parts of what is now Greece and Turkey. So the large empire, it was a very large empire at the time, not quite as big as the Roman Empire of course, but it was a large empire. And its capital was a city called Constantinople, which was actually founded by one of the Roman emperors, Emperor Constantine. In the 11th century, the period we're going to be looking at today, this was the biggest Christian city in the world. So in the entire world, this was the largest city in the Christian faith. So it was very, very important. The empire, however, was losing much of its land and was under threat from many rivals. They were particularly worried about a new group which was appearing. This group was aggressive, spreading its religion and settling very close to the Byzantine borders. This group was known as the Seljuk Turks. So this group was a particularly large threat to the Byzantine Empire, who were already losing grasp of what lands they had. So the Seljuk Turks then, they were originally from Central Asia, so further east, but expanded into the Middle East. So Middle East being the area, Turkey, modern day Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, that sort of area. They were fierce warriors who raided their enemies, stole, murdered, and took over land. They were famous for riding in on horseback and being very, very good in battle. They followed the religion of Islam, and by the mid-11th century they were the most powerful Islamic group in the world. Now they had other rivals within Islam, so that meant that they were very, very keen on remaining the most powerful, so they were always ready to fight when required. This leads us to the Battle of Manzikert. Throughout the 11th century, the Seljuks kept taking over more and more land and had minor battles with the Byzantines. In 1071, a major battle took place at the town of Manzikert. The Byzantines had around 40,000 men, but the emperor decided to split them into two and sent half in a different direction. Those men were never seen again, so we don't know whether they were killed in a battle that we're not aware of, or whether they just decided to not come back and leave and join somewhere else, but they were not involved. The other half then, unsurprisingly, was defeated by the Seljuks. The Byzantine soldiers were poorly led and paid, and some, as a result of this, even switched sides and joined the Seljuk Turks. At the end of the battle even, the emperor was captured by the Turks. So very, very poor outcome for the Byzantines. However, that's not where the problems stop though. The aftermath, the Seljuks were then able to move further and further into Byzantine land. So you can see here on the map, this is where the Seljuks originally came from, so Central Asia. They then moved through the Middle East, through areas like Iran and Iraq, what was then Palestine, now Israel, and then into the Byzantine Empire. You can see the Battle of Manzikert happening then. They were then able to push further and further into Byzantine territory until they were very, very close to that very, very important city of Constantinople. This meant that the largest Christian city in the world was becoming threatened by an Islamic group. So an Islamic group, the Seljuk Turks, were threatening the most important, the most powerful Christian city in the world. In 1095, so around 24 years later, there was a new Byzantine emperor who wanted to stop these defeats. He'd had enough of the Seljuks defeating them time and time again, and so he wanted to find a way of stopping them. That meant he needed to turn to some allies. He started to look to Europe, to the leaders of European nations, Christian European nations. So, that's where we're going to stop there with my explanation. What you're going to do today is answer the following tasks. So, number 1, what was the capital of the Byzantine Empire? 2, what religion did the Byzantines follow? 3, what religion did the Seljuk Turks follow? Number 4, describe why the Seljuks were a threat to the Byzantines. 5, describe what happened to the Byzantines during the events of the Battle of Manzikert. And then 6, explain why the outcome of the battle was a disaster for the Byzantine Empire. If you get through those quickly, there's a challenge question. I'd like you to predict why you think the Battle of Manzikert could have led to the Crusades. So we didn't go into that specifically, but we started to allude to it towards the end. So why do you think that battle would have led to the Crusades? As usual, complete these questions in full sentences, please. Some of them are shorter than others. 4, 5 and 6 will require a little bit more depth, and if it doesn't seem like you have written enough, I will ask you to add some more. All work needs to be submitted through Microsoft Teams. If you're unsure how to do that, then there is a video on my YouTube channel explaining how to do it. There's your task. Off you go.